I'm a low-born omega from the slums. For money and power, I sold myself to the Empire's top general, Adrian Vance, and became his lover for 7 years. The day I found out he was engaged, I told him it was over. Thank you for taking care of me all these years. Then I got into another alpha's car without a second glance. The next day, I was thrown in front of Adrian in a burlap sack. The alpha's eyes were dark as he gripped my chin and sneered. Couldn't wait. Could you? To find a new daddy for the baby in your belly? Don't bite. I pushed the alpha off me. A brutal 3-day heat had just hit me. I was sleeping in the nest Adrian had built. His pheromones had soaked into every part of me. My whole body ached, especially my lower back. I was only just now starting to recover. I have a meeting tomorrow. The alpha narrowed his eyes, annoyed. He grabbed my chin. David, am I just your tool? Someone to get you through your heat and then get tossed aside? Adrian's handsome eyes were full of irritation. But after so many years with him, I knew his temper inside and out. I smoothly wrapped my arms around his neck and pressed a light kiss to the corner of his mouth. I have so much to do right now. Once this is all over, I'll make it up to you. Okay? That thing you wanted to try last time, we can do that, too. When Adrian didn't budge, I added, Sir? The hard expression on his face finally softened. He let out a sharp sigh, but he let me go. You'd better not back out again. The next day, I stood in front of the full-length mirror. I expressionlessly applied a thick omega suppressant patch to the back of my neck. The man in the mirror was pale, and when he wasn't smiling, the corners of his mouth naturally turned down. It made him look a little cruel. But for me, that wasn't a bad thing. The Empire had no shortage of delicate, beautiful omegas, and I never, ever wanted to be one of them. I spoke softly. Robert, let's go. Robert drove me to the foot of the Capitol building. At the meeting, I submitted the 23rd revision of the Omega Rights Act. As expected, it was rejected again. I felt nothing, calmly accepting the result. In a bathroom stall, I heard the sound of men laughing by the sinks. Omegas are such a joke. He thinks just because he's a senator, he actually has a voice? If you ask me, David only got his position because Adrian Vance put him there for fun. He's just a plaything. Can you imagine if he had any real power? Can you smell him? He reeks of alpha. I bet last night he was, ha 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 ha. My fingers twitched. I pressed down hard on the suppressant patch on my neck. Perfect seal. The laughter faded into the distance. The bathroom was quiet again. I pushed the door open and walked out slowly. Same expressionless face. Same unlikable, downturned mouth. The words of those two alphas echoed in my mind. A face like this, how much longer could Adrian Vance possibly stand to look at it? No matter how long he could stand it, for now I was still by his side. At that thought, the corners of my mouth curled up slightly. I wiped my glasses and walked out. Smoking was forbidden inside the Capitol building. Some alphas with bad cravings would sneak a couple of puffs in the stairwell to get their fix. Got a light? The alpha, who had been looking down, answered instinctively. When he looked up and saw it was me, his face changed. David Shaw? A playful smirk spread across his face. A delicate little omega like you shouldn't be around all this smoke. Thud. The alpha's fat body slammed onto the steps. I looked down at him. What are you doing? Expressionless. I stomped down hard, breaking 3 of his fingers. Piercing scream filled the air. With a click, a lighter ignited the cigarette between my lips. Wisps of smoke drifted into the air. The man beneath me was still groaning in pain. But I suddenly felt bored. Nicotine was boring. I'm not a smoker. In fact, I hate anything that I can get addicted to. But some things, once they're in your blood, are like a parasite you can't get rid of. Including nicotine. Including power. I looked down at my hands. Bleached bone and dripping blood. These hands were already... Ring, ring, ring. The phone in my pocket suddenly rang. I put down the cigarette and answered. It was Adrian's voice. David, the meeting ended a long time ago. Why aren't you home yet? I answered softly, on my way. The cigarette, now only a stub, glowed with an orange ember. I stuffed the stub into the alpha's mouth. I looked him straight in the eye. Remember this. Don't ever mess with me again." When I got back to the Vance estate, the dining table was already laden with dishes prepared by Mr. Wallace. As lavish as always. "I made your favorite abalone stew and bird's nest soup, young master. You have to eat more. You've gotten so thin lately." "Thank you, Mr. Wallace." Adrian asked casually, "Why are you so late today?" "Something came up," I replied as I took my seat. "I see. Let's eat. Next time something comes up, text me beforehand. I'll send someone to pick you up." I looked down and took a bite of the bird's nest soup. Okay. Halfway through the meal, Adrian's phone rang. He frowned. I knew he hated being disturbed during meals. "What is it?" I don't know what was said on the other end, but Adrian's expression slowly grew serious. Then he glanced at me. I understand. My fingers, hidden under the table, slowly curled into a fist. After he hung up, there was a long silence. "So that was the something that came up?" Breaking Percy's fingers, "You've got a lot of nerve. The general will help me, won't he?" Adrian stared at me for a few seconds. A smile played on his lips. The face of an angel, the heart of a snake. He'd said the same thing to me back when we first got together. That time I'd personally dealt with someone who insulted me. He said it then, just as he said it now. There was no disgust in his tone. Only amusement and admiration. I knew he didn't mind, so I smiled too. "Thank you, General." That night, Adrian was especially rough with me in bed. Toward the early hours of the morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't stop myself from begging for mercy. "Please, I can't, Adrian." Adrian didn't say a word, but his thrusts became even more powerful. "I clean up a huge mess for you, and I can't even collect a little interest, Hearing him say that, I suddenly lost the will to resist. After all, with him, I never had the right to resist anyway. But I don't know if my pathetic state suddenly stirred some pity in him. He finally began to slow down. He gave me some room to breathe. Later that night, I couldn't hold on any longer. I passed out from exhaustion. In a daze, I felt Adrian pick me up, carry me to the bathroom, and gently clean me up. The high and mighty general of the empire, doing something like this for a low-born Omega. It reminded me of the first time he pulled me out of a pile of corpses in the slums. He had placed me in a bathtub just like this, and with his own hands, he washed away all the filth. I'm a low-born Omega, born in the slums. I never knew my father. Before I presented, my mother desperately hoped I would become a high-status alpha. That way, she could at least live a better life in the slums. At least she might gain a little respect. But things didn't go as planned. I didn't present as an alpha like she'd wished. And just like that, I lost any chance of ever leaving the slums. The slums were filled with low-status Omegas like me and unremarkable betas. In the Empire, Omegas are like ants on the sidewalk. Anyone can step on you. A year later, a rebellion swept through Blue Star. The people in charge ordered all the trash here to be cleaned up. I lost my only family, my mother, in that massacre. That year, the place where I lived was littered with bodies. When I opened my eyes, all I could see were corpses. I had never, in my entire life, felt such intense hatred. Hatred for the elites who sat on high, treating life as if it were nothing. It was also then that I met Adrian Vance. I had never seen anyone so tall and handsome. His crisp military uniform, the gleaming medals on his shoulders, they all signified the chasm between us, the sky and the earth. Back then, I wasn't even worthy of touching the hem of his trousers. But he looked right at me. The person next to him said, "There's only one survivor here." Adrian gave a soft grunt of acknowledgement. He reached out his hand to me. "Want to come home with me?" I didn't know why Adrian was taking me with him. But in that moment, I had only one thought: survive. Only by surviving would I earn the right to talk about revenge. But my body was too weak. No matter how Adrian ordered his people to care for me, I was always sick. No matter how many expensive herbs they poured down my throat, the slightest draft would knock me down again. I've examined Mr. Shaw. It's just a fever, and 4 drip and a few days of rest should do the trick. I lay in bed, burning up. The family doctor gave a few simple instructions and left. I forced my heavy eyelids open. I shot Adrian a resentful look. It was all his fault. Now I had to miss a few more days of work. Adrian seemed to read my mind. He gave my butt a light pat. You have the nerve to blame me? You're the one who's so fragile. Although the alpha was teasing me, he reciprocated by clearing his work schedule. He stayed home with me for a day. That evening, Adrian asked Mr. Wallace to make me a pot of seafood chowder. The chowder was thick and creamy, packed with ingredients. You could tell it had been prepared with care. But when the spoon neared my mouth, a fishy smell hit my nose, and I felt a sudden urge to vomit. Adrian saw this and thought I was still sulking. His face darkened. David Shaw, if you don't eat properly, are you trying to die? I already felt sick, and hearing Adrian's tone, a wave of inexplicable emotion washed over me. I buried myself under the covers and refused to come out. David Shaw, Adrian's threats had no effect. This isn't like you at all. Seeing that I remained silent, Adrian lost his patience. He put the bowl down and walked out of the room. I held my breath, a bad feeling rising in my chest. Nausea at the smell of seafood, wild mood swings. This symptom, could I be? No. I shook my head, trying to banish the thought. A low-born Omega with such a weak constitution. How could I possibly get pregnant so easily? But just to be safe, I decided to go to the hospital for a checkup next week. I was still weighing my options. The next second, the covers were ripped off my head. Adrian stood by the bed holding a bowl of plain noodles. Are you trying to suffocate yourself? If you won't eat the chowder, you can at least eat some noodles, right? I sat up and mumbled an affirmative. You're such a handful. Adrian, he had been good to me all these years. But if I really was carrying his child, how would he treat me? Adrian didn't like children, and someone of his status would never allow a low-born Omega to bear his child. He would most likely make me get an abortion. He might even tell me to get out of his sight forever. That couldn't happen. I gripped the sheets beneath me. I still needed him. For someone like me, latching onto Adrian was a rare stroke of luck. How could I let a child ruin everything I'd worked for? If this pregnancy was real, Adrian could never find out. What's wrong with you? I looked up to see Adrian watching me suspiciously. You've been distracted lately. Did something happen? I shook my head. No, I'm just worried that Percy will come after me. I lowered my head, looking pitiful. Maybe I should go and apologize to him. Adrian laughed. Scared now, are you? You were pretty fierce when you were hitting him. Don't worry about that. He won't be attending council meetings anymore. You two probably won't cross paths again. I looked up in shock. What do you mean? I mean exactly what you think. As a wave of relief washed over me, I couldn't help but feel a surge of shock. Percy's position on the council wasn't low. Yet he could be dismissed with just a word from Adrian. Adrian's power was perhaps even greater than I had imagined. I instinctively touched my stomach. Just rest and get better. Adrian casually ruffled my hair. You little liar. After I injured Percy and faced no repercussions, the attitude of the people on the council toward me took a strange turn. They probably guessed I had more influence than they'd thought, to be able to get Adrian to back me up like that. They became a bit more wary of me, but I didn't have the energy to care what they thought. On Friday, I took off work early and drove to the hospital for a checkup. Adrian couldn't know about this. He would definitely get suspicious, so it was better to get it over with quickly. I was anxious as I sat in the hallway, until the report came out. The doctor pushed up his glasses and looked me over. David Shaw? Yes. You're pregnant. Those words hit me like a bolt of lightning. I instinctively retorted, how is that possible? You came in for a checkup because you were having pregnancy symptoms, didn't you? The doctor joked. Aren't you happy about having a baby? I forced a smile and shook my head. No, I'm just so excited. Thank you, doctor. The doctor rattled off a long list of things to be careful about during pregnancy. The words went in one ear and out the other. I took the report and walked out of the hospital in a daze. Unexpectedly, just as I left the hospital, I ran into Ethan, my colleague. David Shaw? He walked toward me and greeted me. What a coincidence. No wonder you left work so early today. Are you not feeling well? I instinctively hid the report behind my back. I'm fine, just a little cold. You've been working too hard lately. You should take care of yourself. Ethan was the only alpha on the council who supported the Omega Rights Act. He was also the only one who had helped me when I was in a tight spot. I was grateful to him and considered him something of a friend. The act passing this time was all thanks to you. Let me buy you dinner. Ethan readily agreed. Sure. Since it was a spur-of-the-moment decision, we just found a random restaurant to eat at. Halfway through the meal, Ethan called my name. David. What is it? He reached out and wiped my cheek with a napkin. You got some curry sauce on your face. I dodged away, feeling a little uncomfortable. I can get it myself. Ethan smiled and handed me the napkin. By the way, do you know that person outside? He seems to have been standing there for a while, just staring at you. I turned my head. Outside the floor-to-ceiling window was a familiar black car. The driver, Chun, stood outside, and Adrian was sitting inside. The window was rolled down halfway, revealing his handsome profile. My fingers, which had been holding my chopsticks, suddenly froze. I just remembered that I hadn't told Adrian I was eating out. The unexpected news of the pregnancy had completely thrown me off, and Adrian had just been watching from outside, without a single call or text. I immediately stood up and hastily apologized to Ethan. Then I jogged outside and pulled open the car door. I'm sorry, General. The person I was eating with is a colleague of mine. He helped me out with something big, so I wanted to treat him to a meal. I forgot this time. I'll let you know in advance next time. This will be the only time. But no matter what I said, Adrian remained silent. The silence lasted all the way home. For the first time, I felt a sense of helplessness. The butler reminded me, it's your birthday today. The general came home early to prepare for you. Only then did I notice the exquisitely wrapped gift box on the table. Also, your alpha scent is a bit strong. Why don't you go take a shower first? Alphas are incredibly possessive creatures. I learned that a long time ago, but I had very little experience in how to please an alpha. Helpless, I had to ask my Omega friend for advice. Sam was the lover of one of Adrian's friends. As another kept man, he was a completely different bird from me. The first time I met him, I thought to myself, I could never in my life make a sound that sweet and soft. Sam took a sip of his drink and pointed a finger at me. How do you not even know how to coax someone? You're not like an Omega at all. He's your partner, not some stray cat or dog. If you really loved him, wouldn't you know what to do to make him happy? I was stunned. You love your alpha? Sam didn't hesitate. Of course. You don't? I couldn't answer Sam's question, because even I didn't know the answer. Ever since I crawled my way out of that pile of corpses, I had lost the ability to love. Someone who was struggling just to stay alive, what right did they have to talk about love? Our relationship was probably better described by the word need. He needed my body, and I needed his power. After all, love is a luxury. What's so hard about pleasing an alpha? Just buy him a few gifts and he'll be ecstatic. And you're spending their money anyway, hee. I did buy a gift. I looked at the custom-made Banksia rose cufflinks in my hand. The language of the Banksia rose is, I belong only to you. A fitting sentiment. Now I just needed to find the right time to give them to him. The opportunity came quickly. As it happened, Adrian's rut was just a few days away. The tall alpha lay in bed, his rich pheromones filling the room. When he saw me come in, he turned his head away like a child. I gently climbed onto the bed and took his hand. Are you still angry? Don't be angry. Let me help you, okay? Adrian snorted. How are you going to help me? With your terrible kissing skills? I was instantly embarrassed. It was true. After all these years, my kissing skills were still abysmal. I leaned over and straddled him. I clumsily kissed his lips, his jaw, his neck. Adrian couldn't take it anymore and pinned me underneath him. I instinctively covered my stomach. What's wrong with your stomach? I shook my head. Nothing. Adrian stared at me, then used my thighs to finish once. He gave himself a shot of suppressants. Go to sleep. Stop messing around. The next day, I saw Adrian putting on his shirt in front of the mirror. On his cuffs were the gleaming cufflinks. He asked casually, "Banksia roses?" I swallowed. "Yeah. I belong only to you." Adrian's eyes darkened. He gripped my chin and kissed me until I was breathless. "I hate it when you look at other alphas." I panted lightly and nodded. "I know." I still hadn't figured out what to do about the baby. If I let the months pass, there would be no way to hide it. Half a month later, I finally decided to terminate the pregnancy. I didn't want to kill it, but I had no other choice. Adrian didn't like children, and he certainly wouldn't like a child born to a low-born Omega. "I'm sorry." I apologized to the life that had yet to fully form. My head was down, and I didn't notice the person walking toward me. I bumped right into him. The alpha frowned and yelled, "Watch where you're going." My face went cold, and I swallowed the apology that was on the tip of my tongue. "Well, if it isn't Senator Shaw." The alpha grinned maliciously. "The senator has been doing quite well for himself lately. I just wonder how long you can keep it up. The general is getting engaged. You didn't know, did you? I'm waiting for the day you get kicked out like a stray dog. An arranged marriage." When I heard those words, it didn't register at first. By the time I processed it, the alpha was already far away. I stood there and muttered to myself, "Is that so?" No choque, no anger, no sadness. Just a sudden, overwhelming sense of confusion that enveloped me. I had been with Adrian for many years, so long that I had almost forgotten how I would live if I left him. It was a terrifying thought. I should have realized long ago that I couldn't stay by his side forever. What do you do when your sugar daddy is getting married? I posted on an online forum. Aside from a dozen or so comments insulting me and a few dozen more just there for the drama, I managed to find a few useful replies. Best not to cling. Rich guys hate that. Leave with dignity. He might even give you some compensation. After all, rich people are generous. They can't give you love, but they have more than enough money to spare. I put away my phone. When I got home, Adrian wasn't back yet. I leaned back on the sofa, about to turn on the TV. The butler stepped forward to stop me. "Mr. Shaw, the television is broken. Let's wait a couple of days for it to be repaired before you watch it." I smiled and cut to the chase. Adrian is getting engaged, isn't he? If that's what this is about, I already know. The butler was speechless. I turned on the TV. Sure enough, the news was flooded with stories about Adrian's engagement to the young master of the Smith family. I sat in the living room, waiting for Adrian until late into the night, until he finally returned, weary from his day. Seeing me dozing on the sofa, he smiled and came over to kiss me. "So late. Why aren't you asleep? Waiting for me?" I nodded. "Yes, I have something to tell you." "What is it? Are you getting engaged?" Adrian clearly hadn't expected me to find out so quickly. He frowned at first, then quickly admitted it. "Yes." I pressed my lips together, suddenly at a loss for words. I had rehearsed the breakup speech in my head countless times. But looking at Adrian, I couldn't get the words out. Julian Smith has a good family, good looks, and is a high-status Omega. Adrian cut me off. "Are you jealous?" He sat down next to me and wrapped his arm around me. "Don't worry, I think you two are a good match. Adrian, go get engaged to him. Let's end this." I knew exactly what Adrian was going to say. Something along the lines of, "Don't worry, even if I marry him, you won't have to leave." But that was too humiliating for me. So humiliating that I didn't want to hear him say it out loud. Even a low-born Omega wanted a basic level of respect. "Let's end this. I won't bother you again." I stood up and gave Adrian a very, very sincere bow. "Thank you for taking care of me all these years." It was the truth. I was truly grateful to him, even if he didn't need my gratitude. Adrian had been silent since I started talking. He stared at me, his face turning ugly. He asked in a low voice, "What did you say? End this?" "David Shaw, I'm asking you one more time. You said we're ending this?" "Yes." "I'll pack my things tomorrow and move out of the Vance estate." "Fine." Adrian cut me off. "Fine, David Shaw. You're really something else. Someone like you just don't have a heart, do you?" As if he couldn't take it anymore, Adrian stood up and slammed the door on his way out. He seemed a little angry. Was it because I was the one to end things that he was upset? Alphas have a lot of pride. By ending it first, it was like I was dumping him. I should have just waited for him to dump me. I couldn't help but feel annoyed with myself. In reality, I didn't have much to pack. I couldn't take anything from the Vance estate, so I just packed a few clothes into a backpack. When I left, it was unseasonably rainy. I squatted outside a convenience store to take shelter from the rain, only then remembering that I had barely eaten dinner and was now starving. But I had left in a hurry and forgotten my wallet. Just as I was wondering what to do, a car horn beeped twice from the side of the road. The window rolled down, and it was Ethan's face. "David, what are you doing here? Where are you going? I can give you a ride." Ethan's appearance was a godsend. He could see my predicament and offered to let me stay at his place for the night. The rain outside was getting heavier. I didn't refuse. After breaking up with Adrian, I began to reconsider the fate of the child in my belly. For someone with my physical condition, getting pregnant was not an easy thing. Maybe having my own baby wouldn't be so bad. I could raise him to be healthy and happy on my own. And just like that, I made a new decision. I would keep him. The next day, I left Ethan's house. I wanted to drive to the hospital for another checkup. But as soon as I got in the car, a pair of hands reached out from the back seat. A handkerchief was pressed over my mouth and nose. A cloyingly sweet scent filled my nostrils. I didn't even have a chance to resist. I lost consciousness completely. When I opened my eyes again, the first thing I saw was a familiar chandelier. I blinked hard. I realized that somehow I was back at the Vance estate. How was that possible? I sat up abruptly, and the sound of rattling chains filled the air. I looked down in disbelief. A chain was locked around my wrist. "Adrian Vance, you're awake?" Adrian leaned against the doorway. I don't know how long he'd been watching me. His expression was dark as he reached out and gripped my chin. "Did you have a nice time at Ethan's house? Couldn't wait. Could you, to find a new daddy for the baby in your belly?" Hearing that, I was stunned. I instinctively asked, "How did you know?" "I know everything about you, baby. You went to the hospital for a checkup, you came out with the report. You tried to schedule an abortion and then you canceled it. I know all your little secrets. Did you really think you were hiding it so well?" The Adrian in front of me felt like a stranger. I instinctively scooted back, trying to escape the suffocating atmosphere he created. "All these years, I've known everything about you. You said you were mine." Before I could say anything, Adrian suddenly grabbed my neck. "Can Ethan even compare to me? The power, the status, the money you have, he can't give you any of it. He's a nobody." He wasn't squeezing hard, but I instantly felt like I couldn't breathe. My face went pale. "Look at you." Adrian's voice had a hint of a laugh.
"So fragile, so weak."
"What would you do without me?" I stammered. "What? Stay here and be your side piece?" Adrian froze for a second, then laughed, exasperated. "Have I married him yet? And you're already calling yourself a side piece. It's just a matter of time." Adrian stood up. He tilted my chin up. His eyes and tone were full of malice. "So what if you're a side piece? If I don't let you go, you can't go." Adrian had me under complete house arrest. The chains on my wrists were gone, but I couldn't take a single step out of the Vance estate. Ethan had apparently come looking for me after I was taken. But the estate was as impenetrable as a fortress. He couldn't even get a foot in the door. I don't know what Adrian was busy with lately. He was always leaving early and coming home late. When he got back, he wouldn't say a word, just hold me in sleep. One morning, I was woken up by a commotion. The usually quiet villa was uncharacteristically noisy. I went downstairs to find a strange young man in the house. The butler was respectfully but firmly blocking him from going upstairs. "Young Master Smith, the general has given orders that no one is to disturb Mr. Shaw. You dare to stop me? Move." So this was Julian Smith, the young master of the Smith family. He had a fair, delicate face. He looked endearing. "Mr. Wallace." When I spoke, Julian's gaze immediately shifted to me. "So you're the little lover Adrian is keeping? You don't look like much. Do you know he and I are getting married?" Why are you still hanging around? Where am I supposed to live then? He was kind of cute. I threw my hands up. I guess you can sleep with me. You? Just kidding. I already told Adrian we're over, but he won't let me leave. He won't let you leave? You're lying. Of course not. What reason would I have to lie to you? Julian looked at me suspiciously. Isn't it because you love him and don't want to give him up to me? I said without thinking. How is that possible? I don't love him. As soon as the words left my mouth, I heard the butler clear his throat. I turned my head. Only then did I realize that Adrian had come home at some point and was watching the drama unfold with a grim expression. Seeing Adrian, Julian became even more animated. Adrian, you hurt him. He doesn't even love you. The alpha's expression was cold. So what? He still has to stay by my side and have my baby, doesn't he? I can give him everything he wants. He'd never dream of leaving me. I never thought Adrian would say those things. Apparently, Julian didn't either. He looked at Adrian as if he were a hopeless simp. In the end, he swallowed his anger and left the estate, slamming the door so hard it shook the house. After Julian left, I looked at Adrian, about to say something, but he suddenly crouched down. He pressed his face against my stomach. He sniffed around like a creep. Don't scare the baby. The insignia on his military uniform pressed against my belly. Felt cool. I thought you didn't like children. Adrian hummed. I just don't like children from other people. If you're the one having my baby, I have no objections. He lifted me up and carried me to the sofa. I've raised you for so many years. What's wrong with you having a baby for me? So when are you going to let me out? What do you need to go out for? I was silent for a moment. I decided to tell him the truth. After all, I couldn't hide anything from Adrian. I have evidence that the council chairman ordered the massacre on Blue Star and has been taking bribes. For so many years, I've been collecting this evidence. My fists on my knees slowly tightened. I hate him. I want revenge for the people who died on Blue Star. No. Adrian refused without a second thought. If you release that, I can't protect you. I don't care.
Ikare.
Adrian said flatly, I can't lose you. Even if you hate me for it. I don't hate you. I asked back, why would I hate you? You pulled me out of a pile of corpses. I should be grateful to you, but if you don't let me get my own revenge, I'll be very disappointed. You know what I went through. You know I saw those people die in front of me. For a long time, I couldn't even sleep without seeing their faces, and my mother's. You know exactly what I went through. A long silence followed. Fine. Adrian sighed. It was a sound of resignation, but also of release. Go do what you want to do. I've got your back, baby. In the days leading up to my delivery, the all-powerful, untouchable chairman of the Imperial Council fell from grace. The news was everywhere, filled with his scandals. After a month of recovery in the hospital, I finally returned to Blue Star. The once desolate and ruined city was now being rebuilt. There used to be many unmarked graves there. Now, the souls of the dead could finally rest in peace. Adrian had sent a lot of people to protect me on this trip. I even thought he was overreacting. But when the knife actually plunged into my stomach, I finally understood what Adrian meant when he said he couldn't protect me. But if I had another chance, I would do it all over again. I just had one regret. I regretted that I couldn't be there to watch my baby grow up. And Adrian, would he be sad? Sam once told me that Adrian loved me. He loved me, so if I died, he would probably be very sad. As my consciousness faded completely, I think I felt that sadness, too, as if it were my own. When I opened my eyes again, I was met with a blinding white. The familiar smell of antiseptic filled my nose. Doctor, a patient here is waking up. My fingers were squeezed tightly. I turned my head and saw Adrian sitting by my bed. My eyes widened slightly. It was the first time I had ever seen Adrian look so disheveled, like he had been crying hard. You cried? David Shaw, you can't leave me with nothing. He looked like he was genuinely terrified of losing me. I could only smile and try to comfort him. How could you ever have nothing? Power, fame, money, you have it all. You're an enviable rich man. But compared to you, none of it is worth a damn. You're my most precious treasure. Hearing that, my own heart trembled. You know I love you, right? I know. That was the first time Adrian had ever formally confessed his love to me. He showed me with his actions what love really was. It turned out to be something that could make a person feel so warm. Later, Adrian found the person who had stabbed me. He was a remnant of the chairman's old guard. I went to visit the chairman in prison once. He was still as arrogant and repulsive as ever. He told me he had done nothing wrong. Everything was for the progress of human society. Even the lowest omega has basic rights. You have no right to take away their right to live. The prison was a bit cold. I covered my mouth and coughed a few times. The path I'm walking, there will always be others walking it with me. Even from this sick body, I can still make things grow. Adrian and I set our wedding for the end of the year. Little Sonny had grown from a tiny ball of dough into a little man. But he was as clingy as ever. Sam was incredibly envious. He said he wanted to be my best man. I teased him, if you like kids so much, why don't you have one of your own? He suddenly started tearing up. Your alpha loves you so much. I'm so jealous. Doesn't your alpha, too? He'll never marry me, Sam said through gritted teeth. But it doesn't matter. I've decided not to love him anymore. David, you were right. Loving yourself is what's most important. I couldn't help but laugh. So, are you going to leave? Yes. I'm going to be an amazing person like you. You're the one who fought for so many rights for omegas. I'm going to travel the world. Of course, I supported him. Causing trouble for an alpha was something I was happy to help with. David, you have to be happy. You too. Sam's escape plan went smoothly. He still kept in simple contact with me. But his alpha couldn't sit still. During breakfast, Adrian got a call from his good friend. Your omega ran away. How am I supposed to help you? I knew immediately he was talking about Sam. I couldn't help but laugh secretly. You have to help me. Adrian pulled me into his arms and planted a loud kiss on my cheek. I mouthed a phrase at him. Don't you dare. Adrian shrugged. Sorry, my hands are tied. I have to eat breakfast with my husband. The other end immediately complained. Hey, no PDA. All that matters is my husband and I are happy together. You poor single bastard, you can go find him yourself. Click. The call ended. And in the soft morning light, Adrian and I shared a long, lingering kiss.